How's it going, everybody? Nerds Rising here, and welcome back to the Nerd Cave. In this video, we're going to take a look at the team that I used this season to reach the veteran rank. Now, before we get into the footage, let me say this about the team. It's difficult to use unless you're seeing a lot of double ghost. I originally built this team in the 31 to 3200 ELO range, probably about 2 seasons ago, because every single line I was facing basically had a Trevenant or a Sableye or both in the back. And this team gives double ghosts a lot of problems. There's really no way for the opponent to win if they have a double ghost backline, unless we play it really poorly, which occasionally we do. But in Ace, there's a lot more variety of teams and lines. A lot of people using double steel backlines, a lot of wall rains, and as you see, the double normal flyer backline, if say I switch in to my Pidgeot as a safe swap and they bring in a Bastiodon and they have a Stunfisk as their other backmon, you just get hard countered and you lose. There's just nothing you can do, and that did happen to me quite a bit using this team in Ace. So I will say use this team with caution, but if you're seeing lots of Azu double ghost or Sableye Trevenant backlines or whatever you're seeing, sometimes even Sableye Metacham backlines you can punish with this team, it's very strong. So let's get into the battles and take a look at what I was able to pull off with this team in about the 2300 ELO range. And I did climb up to 2502, as you can see there. So first battle, Venusaur into Swampert, probably the worst lead we could have asked for. So we safe switch our Pidgeot there, and they actually bring in a Swampert. So I now know that I can take switch back from this Swampert. Gust does so much that even if the opponent double shields, we're still going to Gust down before he KOs us. So we shield the first, knowing that after a Feather Dance, 2 more Hydro Cannons will not KO. So we throw our Feather Dance right away. We get a shield too, which is even better. And now we're just going to commit to the Gust farm down and take 2 Hydros that this Swampert is likely going to get to. And as you'll see from this first Hydro here, after that 2-stage attack debuff, we're not in danger of being KO'd by a second. And he did not build up to a potential Sludge Wave either, although I believe 1 more Gust should KO, so he probably wouldn't have got to one anyway if he was running it. So now we've taken switch advantage, and our Swampert does not have to face that Venusaur, which is absolutely huge. And sorry about the notifications. I think I forgot to turn off my Do Not Disturb on this one. And they bring in a Stunfisk. I was very surprised here. I'm wondering if the opponent may have accidentally clicked on the Swampert instead of the Stunfisk. But either way, we'll take this. We're going to debuff this Stunfisk right away, and then we're going to go for the Brave Bird here. And even though this is resisted, we're going to get this Swampert, or this Stunfisk below half health here. And we do. And now this thing is in Hydro Cannon range easily. As well as if he decides to throw energy on our Swampert that comes back in, he's double debuffed, so an Earthquake is not going to KO. Typically, a Galarian Stunfisk Earthquake would easily one-shot a Shadow Swampert, but as you're going to see here, since we debuffed it, we can safely tank that and live with about half health. So I knew he was going to bring the Venusaur in, so I immediately swapped into the Noctowl, and now we just have switch advantage, so we win the game, basically. You're going to see that the Sludge Bomb is not going to do anywhere near enough to KO us there, and we could probably tank another one. We'll have to see if I decide to commit a shield here. I'd like to not. I'm kind of expecting him to let this go and just save a shield for the Stunfisk, but he actually shields, and I was surprised there. And he makes a nice play here, and he CMP ties me. I probably could live a Sludge Bomb, so I shield, but I shield it just to be safe, and it's actually a Frenzy Plant, so a little unfortunate there. But again, this Stunfisk does not have enough energy to take out our Swampert. He just threw a move, so I know that even if he throws a Rock Slide and KOs my Noctowl here, he's not going to get to that EQ before I get to a Hydro. And he actually over farms. He kind of had to, and I get to the Shadow Ball anyway, and we're going to take this out. So a tough lead there, but switch advantage was huge there, and by not bringing the Stunfisk on the switch, we were able to take that back. So good game there. Great lead in the next battle. This is exactly where we have to see this. And he brings a Sableye in, and you're going to see here, this is exactly what this team is designed for. A Sableye safe switch. Even if he throws the return here, we can safely tank it and not have to worry about being double resisted Shadow Claw down. And as you see there, that return hurts, but we're not in danger of being fast moved down. I go ahead and I throw the Brave Bird here, knowing a Feather Dance wouldn't KO and he could probably get to a foul play. So I called that he was going to call the Feather Dance, knowing that he could maybe get a shield advantage from that. But we KO there, so that's a good play. And the Stunfisk comes back in, and again, we're Feather Dancing right away. What this does is it forces him to switch out right away when my Swampert comes back in, or throw a double debuffed Earthquake at my Swampert, which, as you saw in the last battle, does about half. So we'll see how the opponent decides to play it. he wasn't able to farm us down there, which is nice, so he has to throw a Rock Slide, and he does. He actually switches out right away and banks a lot of energy, so we'll keep that in mind for later. He brings a Medicham in, and this is doable. This is a common team, Stunfisk, Sableye, Medicham, typically with Sableye as the safe swap. And with even shields here, we're going to be able to put in some work with our Noctowl. And as you saw, I believe he actually shielded that Hydro from the Swampert, which is why I threw it before switching in. That just gives our Noctowl a little bit more comfortable matchup against Medicham. I throw the Shadow Ball here. I actually wasn't expecting him to shield this, and I knew a Sky Attack wouldn't KO, but he actually decides to shield his Medicham, and that's fine. So now we have a 2-0 shield advantage, and I'm just going to let my Noctowl go down, knowing that this Medicham is basically in a second Hydro Cannon range, and we even outpace. He doesn't even get off any more energy. So now this poor Galarian Stunfisk is going to be against a 2-shield Shadow Swampert. And there's just nothing he can do. I know that he's probably going to just throw the Hail Mary, because sometimes, you know what, people try to 2-shield flex. I do it. Maybe I tried to call Rock Slide there and he just KOs me through 2 shields. But we're going to be safe. We're going to go right to the Earthquake here, and this probably KOs 1.5 Galarian Stunfisk. So very good game to the opponent. He played it the best as he could, but our backline just countered his backline, and that's exactly what it's designed to do. So next battle here, a Shadow Granbull, very spicy. And as you see, these Shadow Charms are just absolutely smacking my poor Swampert. I throw on 7 here for correct timing, but as you see, those Charms nearly KO me, so I probably should have just thrown right as I got it, because now my Swampert's very low, so if they have a Steel in the back, this is going to get a little bit tricky. I bring in the Pidgeot. He's going to get to a move here. I shield it. Obviously, pretty much anything from a Shadow Granbull is going to KO there. And he's got a Sableye in the back, so he does not have a great answer to our normal flyers. As you see here, I actually throw 1 Gust over after I had gotten to the Brave Bird, and I throw it now because I wanted him to get his Foul Play off before my Brave Bird, because I knew I could safely tank a Foul Play, but after the Brave Bird debuff, I would not have been able to. So I actually allow him to win CMP there, and it's another double Ghost backline. It's a Runerigus, and this thing actually, I think, even has a worse matchup against our normal flyers than a Trevenant does. It typically runs Sand Tomb and Shadow Ball, both of which are going to be double resisted. So I bring the Noctowl in, and he's gonna try his best here. You know what? Respect to the opponent, but these Sand Tombs are just doing absolutely nothing, and he's gonna hit us with another one here, and we could probably tank 20 Sand Tombs and not even have to worry about it. And as you see, yeah, this game is over. He brings back in the Granbull. I probably could have just farmed down there, but I didn't want to take any unnecessary charm damage, knowing that even if I had 0 shields and he had 2, this Runerigus has nothing it can do, and the opponent finally realizes it and concedes. So good game there. But double Ghost backlines, guys. This team really dominates. So a Shadow Skuntank on this battle, very spicy again, and he has another Sableye switch in. So I'm a bit slow, so I decide to throw the Hydro for some chip damage and then bring in my normal flyer, and we actually get a shield, so that's great. But now, since the Sableye is ahead on energy, I probably will have to commit a shield in this matchup. And I actually do shield here, I believe, thinking that maybe he would try to full send the return, but he baits, so a good bait there. But again, he's going to win CMP, but even if this is a return, you saw earlier, return is not going to be lethal from here, so I let it go, and it's another Foul Play. And we're going to get our Feather Dance off, and then I believe I actually undercharge this here, so I can get a couple more Gusts, and I kind of want him to hit me with another Foul Play, because what I don't want to happen is to have about this much health left and then have that Shadow Skuntank come in and farm me all the way down and get way ahead on energy. So I let that Foul Play go through, and I actually perfectly undercharge it and give myself enough energy to get to a Brave Bird. Is the opponent going to respect it? No, he doesn't, and we one-shot the Skuntank. And I mean, I understand him not shielding that because Swampert has such a good matchup there. It didn't really have a lot of play, but now there's a Trevenant in the back, and this game is over. As you guys already can see, that match there was a Sableye Trevenant backline, which is exactly what this team was built for. I bring in the Swampert there just to maybe make him think he has a chance. I bring in the Pidgeot too, and now I show him the Noctowl, and I believe, yeah, and then he top left, so good game there. Man, countering these double ghosts is just so much fun. I really enjoyed it. So an Azu on this next battle, this is a little tricky. We don't have the best answer to this Azu. I do send the Earthquake here You could argue I could have baited because a Sludge Wave would probably nearly one-shot, but he actually lets it go, so I'm very happy about that. I really need some damage on this thing because I don't have anything that resists its moves, and the Ice Beam here you're going to see is going to hurt our Noctowl. It does about half, but another one will KO. Fortunately, I do get to my Sky Attack just before he gets to a second Ice Beam, so we're going to force a shield here, and this is great. And you might notice here, guys, this Azu did not switch out when we brought our Noctowl in. Is this going to be Azu double Ghost? Let's find out. I really was thinking it was at the time. I think I do decide to bring my Pidgeot in here, expecting it to have a lot of play since he didn't switch out, and I know one Gust here will KO. I was worried if I brought the Swampert in, he might get to another move. One Gust KOs, and what do we have in the back? A Sableye. And I'm not baiting here. I'm up shields. I'm going to full send this Brave Bird. Is the opponent going to respect the Brave Bird, or are we going to destroy another poor Sableye? He doesn't, and we one-shot it. And there's an Alolan Marowak, a Shadow Alolan Marowak in the back. So that was Azu double Ghost, and we make it very, very sad. So Tentacruel in the next match, and he safe swaps Azu, and this is a problem. As you saw in the last battle, we just don't have the best response. Again, you could argue I should bait here. I know that he let the last one go, but he does shield this one. So, you know, baiting is just such a tough game. It was nice to get the shield there, but I would have preferred, honestly, to get some damage off onto this Azu. So, as you see, this one is actually not running Ice Beam, so this is a little bit better. We should hopefully be able to get to 2 Sky Attacks, but let's see. So I'm carefully timing my moves to not allow him to get an extra bubble through. We throw a first, and I believe if the opponent doesn't overfarm, we're going to probably be able to get to another one, but he throws right away, so unfortunately we don't get to another move. And now this Azu is still at a pretty awkward health range. He's probably going to get to a move on whatever we bring in, but I think I do decide to bring in the Pidgeot here, just expecting it to have some play, because typically when I see an Azu, I expect there to be a Ghost somewhere on the team, because Azu and Ghosts are just, they cover each other very well. And I don't shield there because I know he doesn't have Ice Beam. And I think I'm going to commit to a farm down here. And we barely just farm it down before it gets another move. So that's huge. We have 2 shields. They have 1, and we have a ton of energy. And since we're so ahead on energy, I'm not baiting. I'm going to throw this Brave Bird right away, and I'm only 1 Gust away from a second. And man, we land another Brave Bird on a Sableye. So I was right. There was a Ghost. And now we're not baiting again. We're up shields. We're going to punish this Tentacruel if he decides to call a Hydro. And a lot of Swamperts do like to bait, but not this one. We one-shot it, and now it's game over. And I think I throw the Hydro. I could have just farmed down, but I think the opponent just lets this go because he knows the game's over. So really, the opponent tried to call our baits there, and our team was just not having that. So good game there. Next battle, a Medicham lead. So this is a little tricky. We would definitely prefer to see this in the back, but we'll work with it. We do outpace here, so I will throw this Hydro to either get a shield or do a lot of damage, and then I will dip into one of my normal flyers. I like to do that with Swampert because it's so spammy. I really didn't take that much damage on the Swampert before switching out. And now if they have a Steel, we should lure it out and still have plenty of health on the Swampert to handle it. So that's the idea with this team. And they bring in a Drapion, so I'm assuming they don't have a Steel type at this point. But Drapion is very, very spammy. And the Medicham did hit us with an Ice Punch, so unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to flip this matchup. Let's see what he decides to do there. I believe that he's 1 away from a second Crunch, so if he overfarms... No, unfortunately, he doesn't overfarm, and he's going to take us out. So good play by the opponent there, recognizing that I was at the Sky Attack and that he couldn't overfarm. So we're still even on shields, but what I'm realizing I can do here is farm this thing all the way down and shield once, and now I'm going to have a lot of energy to threaten whatever's in back. And I know that Medicham is low, and it is definitely in a Hydro Cannon range. So if he brings that in, we're going to throw right away. And either we're going to take this thing out or get a shield. And if he shields, I'm going to fast swap into my Pidgeot here and try to take it out with Gust before he can get to 2 moves. And we do get the Gust through. I do think it's going to take 1 more Gust, but I don't believe he's going to get to a second move here. So I take the first, and now we've got a shield, but they've got a Noctowl. This is not what I was hoping to see. I throw the Feather Dance right away, knowing even if he called the bait and I Brave Bird, it's not going to KO, so I can't Brave Bird there. I throw the Feather Dance. He's over farming a bit, and he makes a big mistake right here. He throws his move on alignment. He's at 2 sky attacks, but since he threw an alignment, my gust goes through, and I now have the energy for a Brave Bird, and I do win CMP. So I'm either going to get this shield, or I'm going to KO the Noctowl, and my Swampert still has some energy left over, and he actually shields, so this is perfect. We're, I believe, 1 Mudshot away from a Hydro, so I'm going to bring it in right away. He tries to undercharge there, but we bring our Swampert in right away. We Hydro Cannon, and I believe this Medicham is very low. We should just be able to Mudshot it down, and we do. So the opponent kind of had to shield that Brave Bird because that Medicham was in 1 gust range, and that over farm there and mistimed move really hurt him. So Shadow Abomasnow, this is probably the worst lead you could ask for, even worse than Venusaur because it beats our entire team. We bring the Noctowl in, and he brings in an Azu, so this is not going well. We're not really going to be able to take Switchback from the Azu, and even if we do, our Pidgeot still doesn't necessarily want to see that Abomasnow, so we're going to have to play this very, very carefully. I know that I'm definitely going to need shields for that Abomasnow, so I'm not going to commit any shields in this matchup, and I'm hoping that this Azu tries to over-farm and lets me get off another Sky Attack after this one, but I'm thinking he's probably not, but let's see what happens. So he throws right away, so this is tough. I'm thinking that my win con here is going to be to build up a lot of energy on Pidgeot. So I'm going to take some damage on this Swampert because I need to keep that Pidgeot healthy, and I also need an energy lead on it. So I bring the Swampert in. I'm going to take whatever this is, hoping it's not a Hydro. It's just an Ice Beam, and now we're going to bring in the Pidgeot. But he actually brings in a Trevenant. So the opponent gave up Switch there and brings a Trevenant in. So now we have a new win con. We're going to bring this Pidgeot in. I throw the Hydro there to bait a Sludge Wave. He shields it, and now this opponent has just given us the game. We're going to farm this thing all the way down, shield nothing, and have a ton of energy for this Abomasnow and back. And as well, since we got that shield, if we can get to 2 moves, this Abomasnow is not going to get to 3 Weather Balls before we get to our 2 Feather Dances. So the opponent giving up Switch there was huge, but this is still going to be tricky because we're low, and these Shadow Powder Snows are not going to be pleasant. We throw our Feather Dance right away. He actually brings in the Azu, but I knew I couldn't really afford to take any more bubble damage. I really just need to get this thing out of here. So he brings it in. He throws his Weather Ball. I don't believe that he's going to be able to Powder Snow us down before our Gusts and Feather Dance KO. So we have to get this Feather Dance off, and this is super important because now these double debuffed Powder Snows are not going to be able to take us out. I believe 1 more Gust, just about, maybe 2. Oh, and I actually do a fast swap into the Swampert. So I think I realized there, once I got that shield, I had a Hydro Cannon loaded on my Swampert. So all I had to do was get that shield with that Feather Dance, and then the Swampert can come in and just KO. So, wow. Looking back at that, I played that really well. I think that the opponent really should have just stayed in and not switched into the Trevenant there, especially seeing that I had a Flyer safe switch. Could have queued him in that I had another Flyer in the back. So thank goodness he did it. I think he probably would have won that game if he saved the Trevenant for the Swampert. So Umbreon in the next game, very neutral. I build up some energy here and I throw. He's now 1 Snarl over the Foul Play, so I'm expecting him to throw 1 more Snarl and then throw the move. So I'm going to switch into my Noctowl because I don't want to tank that damage on Swampert. Noctowl is very bulky and it tanks neutral damage a lot better than Shadow Swampert. So he does throw the Foul Play on our Noctowl, that's fine. And he has a Wigglytuff, so I'm thinking now that he brought this Wigglytuff in, this very well could be Umbreon Double Charm. That is a team that I saw quite a few times. So I really need to get shields down so that my Swampert can KO the second Charmer that's probably going to be in the back. So I'm really hoping I can get a shield here. What gets scary with these teams is if the opponent saves 2 shields for their back Charmer, then they can simply just charm their way through your whole team, because I don't have something on my team, as you see, that resists Charm. So I do get a shield there. I now know I need to get a lot of energy on my Pidgeot in order to handle this Umbreon, and I believe that Swampert in a 1-to-1 shield should be able to take out their back Charmer. So I bring the Pidgeot in here. I know I can farm down, and I know that people don't typically like to shield their Umbreons, so I will definitely not be baiting here. I will be sending this Brave Bird right away. We're going to have to eat a Foul Play, but I'm really hoping that this Brave Bird goes unshielded, because if he shields this is going to get a little tricky. Let's pray that he shields it, or he doesn't shield it and it KOs, one or the other. Unfortunately, he doesn't shield it, and I believe he lived with 1 HP. And now we're in a spot where I'm not baiting here because I know the opponent knows he can live a Hydro. So I'm expecting him to call a Hydro bait here, and he does. And we one-shot the Alolan Ninetales with an Earthquake, and another good game. So that one was a little bit tricky. Double Charm is a little tricky for this team because we don't have anything that resists the charm. So a Registeel lead and then a Frost last Safe Switch. This is absolutely terrible. We can't switch out of here. Unfortunately, our Flyers have no play so far, so we're going to have to stay in with a Swampert, and this is really not great for us. As you see, these Powder Snows are adding up, and one Hydro Cannon does not KO this Frostlass, and he knows that, so he's probably going to let one of these go at some point. But I know at the same time that I have to have my Swampert available to take out that Registeel, so we're going to have to play this very carefully. So I actually decide to catch an Avalanche on the Pidgeot, knowing I can barely live it, and knowing that one more Gush should KO before he farms me down. So we've kept Switch by doing this, and we basically just used our normal Flyer as a meat shield here, knowing that it has no play against this Registeel. And now we have Swampert with a little bit of energy and some health. But this is still tricky because this Registeel is already at a move, and I know that I either need to bait and then get to an Earthquake or land the Earthquake. So I make a risky play. I call that he's going to shield this, and I throw the Hydro Cannon. Is he going to shield this? And he actually calls my bait. So this is really bad. He's going to have to shield the second Hydro, but I know that he's going to get to a move and KO my Swampert, and I can't afford to have my Noctowl aligned with this thing. So I actually make a very ballsy play, and I catch the Focus Blast on my Noctowl. If I'm one turn off there, the Zap Cannon nearly KOs me, but since you'll notice I snuck a Wing Attack through there as I caught, so I now outpace this Registeel by one turn to the Focus Blast and get my Shadow Ball off first, and we've now taken out the Registeel. So this is huge, but unfortunately the opponent has a Shadow Ninetales in the back, and because we're low, one move is not going to KO this Ninetales, and we don't have enough health due to our low HP that we're going to be able to get to 2. So I build up there, and what I was hoping there, I'm going to pause very briefly. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. What I was hoping there is that you'll notice I didn't throw my Shadow Ball there, even though I had it. I was building up extra energy, hoping that it would force the opponent to throw his Weather Ball there early, and he didn't. He perfectly over-farmed so that he could outpace my Swampert to the next Weather Ball. So very well played by the opponent. We had some nice catches as well, but unfortunately our normal Flyers there just really had basically no play whatsoever, which is unfortunate. So this is the last battle, guys. This, I take it back, this is the worst lead of them all, a Shadow Razor Leaf user. And we safe switch into our Noctowl this time, and we are met with a Bastiodon. So this game is going just about as poorly as it could. We're going to throw Shadow Ball after Shadow Ball, and this Bastiodon does not care about Shadow Balls. There's absolutely nothing we're going to be able to do to take switch back here. I know already if this is reverse Grass Hole with a Stunfisk in the back, this game's over. But just for science, we're going to play it out, and we're going to see what we can do. I know we're not going to get this thing low, but the opponent actually, I think, makes a bit of a mistake. He stops attacking in order to get his switch clock up, because he knows he doesn't want his Bastiodon locked into my Swampert for very long, but in doing so, he allows me to get to another Shadow Ball. And now this thing is in a range where I can probably Mudshot farm it all the way down, and 2 Stone Edges will not KO my Shadow Swampert. So here I'm watching carefully in case he tries to snipe me with the Victory Bell, but he doesn't. He's going to stay in, and he's going to let our Swampert farm him all the way down. So I'm playing it out. I know there very well could be a Stunfisk in the back. I know the Vic is coming back in, so I'm going to switch right away. I can't afford to take a Razor Leaf here. One Razor Leaf from here probably KOs. And he brings the Victory Bell in, but he's actually ABA weak to flying. He has a Medicham in the back. So now I'm like, can I do this? He still has 2 shields, and he baits me with a power-up punch. So this is going to get really dicey at the end here. I know that I have to get my debuff off right away, but I can't afford to get baited again. If I get baited again, I lose the game. So I decide, you know what? I'm calling a power-up punch bait on the second one. If this is the Psychic, I lose, but is this going to be another power-up punch? And it is. We call the bait, and that just cost the opponent the game. Now we farm down. They still have a shield, but we're going to Feather Dance this Vic right away. And I do believe that our Gusts are going to be able to just barely KO this thing. Even though we're low, these Gusts do so much damage. Look at that. Look at how much damage they're doing. And it's a simultaneous KO. Our Swampert's alive in the back, and we take a very, very close game. So that was the last battle, guys. I really appreciate everyone watching. Thank you for everyone that's subscribed right now. We're up to 16 subscribers, guys. I'm super excited. I really wasn't sure how YouTube would accept this channel, but the reception has been amazing so far. So thanks again for watching, and please again like and comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And remember, the more subscriptions I can get, the more Pokemon my wife will let me play.